Today we have a special guest, Sam Taggart, CEO of the D2Dexperts. He has a lot going on. I was actually even surprised that he made it, so I'm super happy that you're here. But I wanted to start off with this real quick. Do you know what this is?
Sticky note. What's it say?
It says Lionel Richie.
Lionel Richie. Okay.
Do you know what it is?
No.
Cool. So the first boot camp that I ever went to was in July of 2020.
And that was your name on your shirt.
It was.
Oh my gosh. We played the name game. Lionel Richie was your name.
It was the name game.
That is so cool. So when was that? July?
July is like July of 2020. I don't remember the exact date. Probably like the 23rd, I think, actually, if I had to remember correctly.
Okay. And now you've made some milestone improvements. Congrats,
For
man.
sure. But a lot of it stems back to my first trip out there. And then I'm going to bring up this, and you probably weren't part of this conversation, but this is, again, where it all started. I just want to show you this. So this right here is a price sheet on how to sell pest control door to door.
I love that. That is amazing.
This is from Riley and Nick Bragg.
At the boot camp, probably, or just like at one of our events.
That was at the boot camp.
That is amazing. Yeah, you're over here like, I've never really knocked doors. Like,
that was my first summer knocking doors on my own because COVID shut us down. So I was traveling to 2 hours to Green Bay every day trying to figure out this door knocking thing.
okay, so boot camp 2020.
Yep.
You were trying to figure it out. That was you on a piece of paper writing down. And then what happened? Fill me in. I mean, this is cool.
Yeah. So COVID hits. We get shut down in Michigan. And we're deemed inessential here. So I was like, okay, well, I got to figure out something. Back's against the wall. I could travel 2 hours south to Wisconsin, Green Bay, Appleton at the time. And I was like, I just got to go start knocking on doors, trying to figure out how to create revenue because we just came off of a winter. We're plowing snow. We didn't get any snow. So like losing money like crazy. I was like, I got to figure out something. So then I started watching YouTube videos. And then the Sam Taggart was on YouTube teaching people how to knock doors. So I'm watching all this content, trying to figure it out. Like I remember walking up to my first door, walked up the door, went to go knock it. Couldn't do it. Had to turn around. I about threw up. I was so nervous. Went back to that same door, knocked on the door, and I sold my first account. And so this is like May, early June, somewhere in there. And I was like, okay, well, I got to try to figure this out, get a little bit better at this. So I probably done like 30 to 50 accounts at that time. And so I started getting not too bad. I think my best day at the time was like 12, but they're all one times. Like, so I'm just slinging one-time deals because I don't know the difference.
Yeah, you didn't even know there was 12-month contracts. I remember that. I'm like, wait, you just spray them and then leave.
Yes. So I was like, okay, I got to figure this out. So then I remember just jumping online, reaching out to your team, and they're like, hey, Joe, it's like, come on out. So I got on a plane in July, landed in Utah, and that's where it all started.
And today you just recruited 30 people in December.
Yep.
How many people? You have 100 reps.
The goal is to have 100 reps.
And you have currently how many locations?
6 locations.
6 locations, and goal is to open up a few more. That's impressive, bro.
So I remember you saying, you're like, you're just some shy, quiet kid who didn't really know anything, but I wasn't shy. I wasn't quiet by any means, but I was just taking it all in, just trying to learn as much as I possibly could.
I remember I told you no.
You did.
You were like, I want to join that mastermind. I was like, bro, it's above your head right now. You got to figure out how to sell an account. I told you no.
You did.
And you were persistent, bro. And you were like, I'm doing this. And I was like, I don't want to take your money and feel bad. And then you were like, I'm all in, bro. And that was huge.
So this is like show you this picture. Can you see that? Oh,
yeah.
That was you and I at the first boot camp. Like, I don't even look the same, neither do you. So that's just wild to me.
That is wild.
So yeah, you told me no, and I was like, no, I'm gonna do this thing. And so I was like, fuck it, I'm just gonna throw it on a credit card and see what happens. And for that time, like, let's be honest, it was like, for us, it was like $70,000. I was like, I'm gonna put this thing on a credit card. Whatever happens, happens. And it was the best decision that I've ever made in my entire career. Because when I came home that after July, we had done like 100,000 in our first month. So I was like, holy crap, I got this thing figured out for the most part. I have a lot to work on. That's where the journey started. And I think at the end of the year, we ended up with like 450, 500 accounts. The next spring, we had like 6 guys that were knocking full time, and we did like a couple thousand accounts. So just like a few of us. And I had guys that were on my team that were Golden Door Award winners, but I wasn't going to say anything. They were just, I got so lucky. Like it took me 6 months to recruit my first guy. Finally, he gave it a shot, and now he can do. I mean, he already did 700 accounts his first year, and now he's helping recruit a team. And then I found other guys. A couple guys found me. And now the team's getting bigger. It's kind of bringing more people in on its own. So it's been a pretty wild run.
Dude, I'm impressed, man. So last year or this summer of 2023, how many accounts did you guys do? Was this your biggest year?
Yeah, this is our biggest year. I think we put on just over 5 million in revenue.
5 million in revenue, new revenue, dude. That's huge. And for pest control, you guys are like, oh, like in roofing, that's cool. Like, but in pest control, new revenue of 5 million is unbelievably good. So impressive, man. Like this is a proud dad moment. This is a proud dad moment. Like I need to say nothing on this podcast, and I'm like satisfied right now. So
yeah, so I saved this book, and I was like, I gotta go find that. I gotta go show Sam. This whole thing is filled with notes from front to back that I just look at religiously from when I spent the time with you guys. So this is like recruiting. This is all the above.
No way.
But there's also another big significant point of my life that turned from out there too. And I kind of talked about it a little bit before, but I'll fill you in for the podcast. So it was like July 23rd when I came out there, but then it was like July 27th was like the last day that we were there. We went to Topgolf. And so we were all smashing balls, and they brought out a bunch of drinks for everyone. And I get it's a Utah thing, Mormon thing. Like I get it now. But at the time, like I remember I grabbed my first beer because they brought them out. So I was just having a drink and I was hitting balls. And then I went to go back and grab another drink, and I realized like all those drinks were still there. And I was like, huh. So I started looking around me, and I was like, no one else is drinking but me for the most part. And that's the last drink I ever had.
Really?
Yep.
You quit drinking then too?
Then too.
Dude, this is so fun. This is congratulations, man. Congratulations. Yeah. Like sincerely, like, and you can tell like you're on fire right now. Like I follow you, like I seen the growth, you know, I see the branding, the podcast, like to be in the 60s of episodes, you know, most people are like, I'm going to do a podcast. I'm gonna do a pest control company. And then like, I'm like, oh, that's cool. You know, and like, you know, like if I'd be really rich for how many people tell me I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna be that guy. I'm gonna sell that many. And you went and did it, dude. Like you put your money where your mouth is. And I think, you know, you taking the risk even and putting 70 grand on the line and being like, I'll trust these guys. You know, that takes a lot of balls. Like, so congrats, man.
At that time, you had different packages. So I don't know what you guys are doing now. We can get into that later on. But at that time, like for me, I didn't know anything. So what those 6 months or 8 months, whatever we spent time together, like I learned so much invaluable lessons and things along the way that I could never pay you enough money for.
Thank you.
So I wanted to say thank you because it was one of the best times of my life and one of the, obviously probably the best $70,000 I spent in my life.
Thanks, man. Well, you're welcome back anytime, bro.
Yeah. So now we get to get caught up. So you have you're always moving and shaking. You always have big things coming up. You got Door-to-Door Con coming up. Man, like walk us through your journey though. Like take us back to when you got recruited. Take us back to like building your first team and then like where you went to and then where you guys are at today.
If you're listening, hopefully you don't get too bored or whatever. I mean, obviously like I started door knocking when I was 11, got into alarms when I was 18. So 2008, did solar starting into 2015 and then started D2Dexperts, which we do a slew of things from online training and education to in-person events to masterminds. And so Jonas was part of the in-person event. He came to a boot camp, then joined our mastermind. And then he did some individual coaching, which we have a team of experts that help with more one-on-one. They come out in the field or they'll, work with you on an individual basis. And Jonah's was like, I'm all in, I'll do whatever it needs to be. And I was like, all right. And we just pride ourselves in saying, hey, we're going to give tactical, actual business advice in the home service space. And we help with solar, roofers, pest control, windows, all sorts of different home service businesses. And, Jonas comes from a world of door to door now that he got introduced to us. But to you, I mean, he was just like any other kid trying to mow lawns was probably like the equivalent of a Jonas. It's like, oh, I could go knock my neighbors and pitch them something. Where I come from door knocking, it's like all I did. And I worked for companies that had 3,000 sales reps with $1 billion evaluations and publicly traded. And you know what I mean? So the sophistication of knocking in Utah world was just at a whole nother height. I mean, I know reps that did 1.5 million in pest control themselves. You know what I mean? Like that, like just like, and they're just straight savages. And just is an unheard of kind of community. And I'm like, how do we bring that to the world? And so now I've been Australian consulting and all over the world, like helping contractors or, salespeople really do it the right way. Do it with ethics, do it feel good, but make way more money faster, scaling, whether it's recruiting or just scaling their sales. Like, it's interesting to watch even the market value of a pest control account. Back when I started, it was like, wow, you averaged a $400 contract value. Now it's like you 2-year contracts at 1,000 plus. You know what I mean? Like, just people are seeing this as a much more viable thing. And then you look at, like, my buddy just sold his company for 16 million in private equity, where before it was more, it was more like Terminex might buy your accounts, or it was more, it wasn't in the private equity sector, where I had a mergers and acquisitions team in my office 2 weeks ago, basically like, here's what's going on in the pest, or here's what's going on in the roofing. And they're like, there is massive multiples to be had if structured right. And I think people underestimate the value of what they're maybe doing and the opportunity that's there. So anyway, that, like, our job is to bring that to the world and help them do it in a really sophisticated manner. So it's been my journey.
For sure. Where do you think most sales leaders go wrong?
I think we, and I will put myself in the same box, as we get in our own way. Meaning, me today going and training a new rep is very different than me my first year training a new rep, right? Like, I assume everybody can just whip out one-liners like I can out of my butt. You know what I mean? Like I assume that, oh, that's not really an objection, bro. Like, just keep talking. And then, and a new person would take it as a real thing. Like, when somebody says, I'm not interested, I hear not interested 17 different ways. I'm like, how did he say it? When did he say it? How fast did he say it? You know what I mean? Like, and that's subconsciously happening because I've done it thousands and thousands of times. But a sales leader to be able to put themselves in that rookie shoes and be like, okay, let me dumb this down and like get really down to, like, how do you dribble? How do you hold the basketball? How do you put on your shoes the right way? Like sometimes we have to, like, go down to the basics. And for a sales leader that's been very well trained, like, that's annoying. Like, that's just hard. So I think real empathy and compassion for that novice, and then the patience to say what needs to be required to, like, hold their hand through this learning curve, because it's hard. Like, leading a sales team, we get depleted after seeing the turnover. We get defeated after feeling like, we're on a revolving door and we're dealing with a bunch of, like, idiots, right? Like, no offense if you're a sales guy, but, like, we're all salespeople. So we all have AD. We all, like, think we're the God's gift to man. We all, like, whatever. Right. But I'm like, the reality is some of the people that you lead, you're like, bro, like, did nobody teach you how to shower? Like, I was joking around yesterday, telling a story about one of my reps one time. He was like, I don't brush my teeth. And I was like, what? He's like, I just eat a clove of garlic a day. It's better for your teeth. And I was like, it's better for your teeth. I'm like, I don't know where you're going with this, bro. Like, I'm just like, what, like, who in your, like, maybe that's right. Maybe, but bro, take a shower, man. Like, and we don't want to smell your breath. It smells like garlic all the time. Like, I hate to break it to you, but you go to a customer's home and, like, you say, hello. And then, like, smell your breath. They're going to be like, I'm not buying from this dude just simply because his breath stinks. You know what I mean? And, like, it's like, I don't know why I'd have to be the one to tell you like something so basic as that, but like everybody's different. And I think sales leaders, it's hard to approach people with empathy and patience and just help guide them through their journey.
Where are you right now? I have to know. Like whatever couch you're sitting at is so cool.
I designed this. I actually made this, bro. I made this cool. Like one day, you know, I'm sitting there and I was like, I need to do some art. The creator in me was like, you know, I don't know if you're like me, but any entrepreneur, it's like you run a business and then all of a sudden you have like 5 separate other businesses. So you're like, I need a creative outlet so I don't keep reinventing myself and destroying things after I reinvent them. But I'm in my studio. We have like 7 cameras hanging from different lens. Like, look, I can like switch camera angles and be like, oh, hey, what's up? Like, you know, we could talk here now. So, but like, it's been cool. Like, I think it would be fun for you to come back to an event and be like, oh my gosh, we bought a building. We have a whole training center now. Instead of doing business boot camps at like some random hotel, we're doing them at our own office space and we have a big screen and it's fun, man. Like, you know, our mastermind that we're in now has 100 CEOs in it and like love it. We've fine-tuned like different teams and competitions and like our team, we have 30 employees now and, you know, really helping at a big scale and a team of just really sharp individuals. It's been a fun ride for us, you know, just like any entrepreneur, you know, we go down our own little rabbit holes and realize, whoop, that's not going to work. And then we go down our own little rabbit holes of how do we systematize things to make them more organized and feel more professional. And, you know, we've really institutionalized the pest training to, you know, solar training to events to, you know, we'll have 4,000 people at DoorDork. Hope to have you come out this year, bring some guys. And, but yeah, like it's been, you know, on the up and up. It's been fun.
Yeah, it's super awesome. When it comes to, 'cause you brought up this a little bit ago, what your sales, like the sales reps are doing like 1.5 million in pest or whatever that looks like in windows or alarms. What do you think is the difference between an average sales guy and one of the best?
I think there's like this weird tenacity that comes with the best. There's this competitiveness. I even heard it with Jonas's tone. He's like, I'm not a shy and quiet guy. I just was taking it in. Like, you know, the ego and that competitiveness in Jonas you could hear is like, bet, Sam. And I intentionally like throw rocks at people just to watch how their ego plays back because that's how you get people to be motivated. And the best people, they have really quality ways to self-motivate, or they're part of a culture and an environment that's going to bring the greatness out of them. And so you look at like the guy that did 1.5 million, the guy right behind him did 1.2, the right behind him did 1.1, the guy behind him did 1 million. You know what I mean? And so it's like they had 37 golden door winners this year in their company. And it was like a new standard and push. And in order to be the best, you had to like play at just a whole new height. And every year we have this golden door and we try to raise it. So like we're considering going from 650,000 in revenue up to 700,000. And if we were to do that, it rises tides. It used to be 550. And, you know, I talked to some of these guys that all did over 1 million in pest and they were like, yeah, I mean, Million's the new cool kids club. And like, you would have said that 5 years ago, 8 years ago, like, hell no, nobody's doing $1 million in revenue. 1,000 maybe accounts. There was a guy that did like 1,300 accounts, I heard, but like, you're not doing $1 million in revenue. And I think what happens is that Roger Bannister element where the guy that's got tenacity on a global scale, like they're looking at saying, how do I just be the best? And I guarantee if you looked at like their life when they were in the science fair, they were like, I'm gonna have the best science project. And when they were like in dodgeball, they're like, I'm not losing dodgeball. Like, I mean, for me, like we played this left, right, center dice game yesterday and I won. And I was like, this has like no skill set whatsoever. It's rolling dice. And I still was damn competitive. Like, and you know what I mean? It was like, I'll win this thing. And I'm like, I don't know how to rig this thing, but I'm gonna win. Like that mentality comes from a young age a lot of times, but I think it can be learned. And then with the customer, like on a micro level, every time you're sitting down with a customer, I think the best sales reps really know how to interweave like real problems, real solutions, and really push past complacency. Like I'm not taking no as just an answer. Like you have just tried to brush me off. I get that, but I'm going to sit here and be tenacious enough because I'm so passionate about making sure that I give 100% on you because you're the person sitting in front of me right now. Where I think a lot of people in the low-level sales reps, they're just like, next. They're looking for somebody just to say yes. The best people aren't looking for any yeses. They're just like, I will dictate my yeses based on my skill set.
So you've interviewed a lot of these people.
Oh yeah, like hundreds.
And do you think like they're just born that way? Or do you think some of them maybe like you said, like were up-leveled by the person they were working with?
So literally on Friday, or was this yesterday? Anyway, last couple of days, I interviewed a kid. My day's blurred. He started in pest control and he did 90 pest control accounts his first year. So 90 pest control, to put things in perspective, he didn't get a back end, like made very little money. You know what I mean? Like, and I literally asked him this. I said, and this was a few years ago, right? And I said, hey, Savon, and you guys will be able to listen to it, D2D podcast, if you want to go listen to the episode. But I said, Savon, like, most people say, are you born sales rep or can you develop salespeople? And I think some sales leaders they need to remember you can develop salespeople and they can learn it. I think they forget that concept and they think, I just got to go find the best guys. I'm like, no, develop A players. This guy would have been somebody that most sales leaders would have written off. This guy, Savant, would have been somebody that you would have said no. It would have been like Jonas coming to my boot camp. I'm like, well, you're small fry. Like, bro, like I got bigger fish to fry. Anyway, he stuck with it. The next year he does 150. The next year he does 2 something. Well, he's sitting in my chair getting interviewed on the DD podcast, just hit Golden Door winner. And that's top 1%. But what's interesting is if you were to go to his Instagram right now, it's Savon something. Every day he posts and he's like, I bet you I'm one of the few people that have listened to every single one of your podcasts, Sam. I've watched every single one of your videos in D2DU, and every single morning I study. I paid for it myself. He works for one of the larger companies, and he's like, every day I'm spending time in D2D University. And I was like, bet, like bullcrap. Like, you know what I mean? Like, a lot of people say that, right? So I was like, what's your favorite episode? He's like, John Sanders. And I was like, oh shit. And I was like, what's your second favorite episode? Boom. And he's like, not even thinking, right? Like, and then I was like, okay, quiz you on the university. And like, I start quizzing him. Then I start following him on Instagram. I didn't even follow the guy. And I start watching his stories. He doesn't even tag me in his stories, but he's literally screenshotting his morning routine. He's like, I got my workout in. I got my reading in. I got my D2DU in. I got my podcast in. And no joke, I followed it for 4 days. It was last Friday. Like, that's why I was like, every day I've checked his Instagram and he's posting his morning saying, check, did my training. And he played college football for BYU. And he's like, dude, I look at this just like when we would do weight training for football. I do the same with sales. And over the last few years, I've just developed myself into one of the best sales guys in the country.
That's awesome.
Okay. That's good to know.
So you get to learn skills, what you're saying.
Yes. I think too many people, they self-sabotage based on they're like, well, I'm just not a good salesperson. I'm just not cut out for this. I'm like, bullshit. That's you telling yourself some damn story, you playing the victim. I'm like, that'd be me, Jonas. Could you get a 6-pack right now if you wanted to? Yes. I mean, like you have it in you. It's just, can you do the work and find it? Like, could you run a marathon, Sophie? Like, yeah, you could run a marathon. Like maybe not today, but like if you train for it 6 months, yeah, but like, you could do it. Like, could you be a great salesperson? Yes. All of those things require training and discipline. I think the people just try to like shortcut their shit and don't want to train and have discipline. That's probably why they're fat. That's probably why they're broke. That's probably why they have a bad relationship. Like, it's just simple life principles. But I think sales leaders aren't like, let me hold you accountable like a football coach would and be like, run effing laps. And everybody's like, I don't want to run laps. I'm like, I don't want to train. I'm like, so you're just being a bad coach at that point.
Right. Yeah, I think I've been on the carnivore diet for like 16 weeks, working on that 6-pack.
Let's go.
Yeah, I'm halfway there.
That's awesome.
It starts out a little rough, but then it kind of gets better in between.
I feel like my turds would be massive.
Oh, but you have no idea. You have no idea.
I was like, what are your turds like?
Oh, well, yeah, I won't even go there, but man, it's rough. That's the worst part about it. Like, just you get so bound up. It's wild. So what was the whole reason of starting the D2Dexperts?
Mission is to unify, up-level, and bring honor and integrity to the door-to-door space. I had a chimney demo yesterday. Probably like, what the hell is that? I didn't even know either. Calls in. He's like, hey, wants to use the Jonas. He's like, hey, we're selling $5 million in chimneys a year. They do chimney repair in the Northeast. And he's like, but I need to scale. And, he's like, I can't market anymore because not anybody's like looking for a Facebook ad that's like, hey, is your chimney cracked inside? You know what I mean? Like, they're not thinking about it. Hence why pest control, door to door, roofing, whatever. It's because you can show them that they have a problem right then and there. And unless they're seeing bugs come out their freaking kitchen, they're not thinking about it. So he calls and I'm like, what's his perception of door to door? Northeast, he has no idea. He comes to our business boot camp and he's like, what the hell? Like, what are you talking about? Guaranteed. And I wanted to give it a cool name. I wanted to up level it. I wanted to make it fun. I wanted to make it, exciting. I just got off a call with a guy that runs a massive recruiting agency for insurance agents. And he's just like, door to door con, is that thing like legit? And I was like, bro, is it legit? Like, if it's legit as any other conference year, 4,000 people is our goal this year. Like, this is like one of the coolest sales conferences you could ever go to, because the problem is a typical, you think of sales, there's always just a negative connotation to consumers because they don't like to be sold. Well, I'm like, you get sold all day. The problem is what's the friction with the buying process? And are you feeling like it's ugly? Is it shady? Do you feel like you got manipulated? Are you happy with the service afterward because they delivered? Or are you dissatisfied, right? Like that, like you could buy something online. I just did. And I was like, this is shitty. And I had to send it back. That's so annoying. I had to undo the packaging, I had to take it back. And that sucked. Am I calling the sales rep and be like, damn shady bastard? Like, like sales is everywhere, right? And I wanted to professionalize it. I wanted to give it a good rap. I wanted to teach best practices. I wanted to teach integrity. I wanted to say, how do we support with really good high vibe people and highlight that versus the press is always going to be like, oh my gosh, shady dude in neighborhood. Like, watch out. Like, you know what I mean? Like what's combating that? So I think it's a great art. I think even in today's economy with leads and marketing, it's getting more and more competitive and the economy is hurting the ad spend. So it's like, yeah, you're this chimney company. You can't just go spend more money on marketing to grow. What do? You go get 5 offices and 100 dudes like Jonas is doing, and you say, boom, let's go scale this thing. You dictate the outcomes.
Super awesome. So what do you guys, I know what you guys do because I've been through it, but what do you guys do at D2Du?
So D2D University is an online training platform where we have hundreds of pest training videos, solar training videos, alarm training, like very industry specific. Yeah, you guys are in there. But we take a different approach. Like, we're not just like buy our course. Like, we're like, let us fly out to you. We're going to film, edit, create your own custom white labeled training platform, and then work with you on a regular basis to being like, do you want more videos that we need to edit? How do we make this part of your integral onboarding or leadership development program where it actually becomes a resource, like part of your SOP, so that you can dummy proof as he's trying to go onboard 30 reps. Good luck, Jonas, knocking with all of them. And then somehow they uniformly, compliantly go through all the same scripts. Like, good luck. You know what I mean? But like, if I had an online training center that we could build out with you that says, here's the best reps in the country, here's the scripts, here's the everything, and then you can ensure test quiz them to make sure that they say it and do it right. Like, it just helps. It's like a sustainable way to actually scale.
Not just pest control, it's many other services too.
Yeah. Like, we do 8 different services in there, and then just sales general. So, hence we have a chimney guy calling, and I'm like, well, he's like, what do you got for me? I was like, dude, I got like 90 videos that are applicable to you, like that are, and then we're going to, and every Tuesday we drop new stuff. And then we host probably 30, 40 events a year. Our events are epic. We have from sales training events, recruiting training events to business events, and then big conferences like Door to Door coming up January 26th and 27th in Utah, to little like intimate, retreats in Tahiti and Guatemala and Switzerland and all over the world. It's pretty fun.
Yeah, I think like every time I look at Instagram, you're gone somewhere. This is super awesome. You've built a really good life.
I know. I feel blessed. Like, I took 77 business owners in our mastermind to Tahiti, and I'm like, this is my work, but this is really fun. Like, but it's life changing. Look at Jonas. Like, I love these stories where it's like, let's fast forward 3 years and watch the difference. And I get texts on a daily basis of like, dude, this was literally the best thing that ever happened to me. Like, had you not won, like he didn't just talk about going to 5 million. He talked about like, I just dropped alcohol. Like for me, I'm like more excited about that than a lot of times I am about, cool, you have 100 reps. Like it's more of like a life development and leadership development than anything what we do. And so we have some really cool masterminds for either sales leaders or business owners, kind of two divisions that are powerful tools to like help people.
Yeah. I'll bring up one example of like your recruiting summit. Been to a couple of those. We literally went recruiting on campus in Austin. We were in Utah. Like we literally went to campus and we're recruiting people.
Yeah. Like last recruiting summit, I think we recruited like 200 people at the summit. Like, you know what I mean? It's like one thing to talk about it, like, but like even when we send an expert out, Parker, it's not like we're like, let's go knock, not like let's talk about it. It's like let's go on the streets and do it. Like let's like hold your hand. And like we pride ourselves in like, and anytime I have an expert, anytime we do events, like we make it an experience, not like we're here to sit in a classroom and just talk about it. We're not like professors that like read it in a textbook. We're like, no, we like live this, which is something we value.
Yeah, it was pretty funny when Parker came up for the first time. This was before I even got the package. This was separate before that. And sold our first account. He sold like 8 in 45 minutes. And he's like, wait, you guys don't even have a contract? Like, how do I sign these people up? So we've come a long way.
That's awesome. It's awesome.
Yeah. When's your next recruiting event?
So we'll host a recruiting boot camp in beginning of March, end of February. And that will be more of a pop-up. It won't be in Utah, but our goal next year is to do a recruiting boot camp once a month, business boot camp, and a sales boot camp. So we've got a new team of experts. I just hired the VP of training and recruiting from Vivint. He was there for 10 years and he runs all of he's like a big expert on our squad now. And I mean, he just systematically can map out here, let me help you scale. I mean, Vivint was the largest direct sales company. And then he was 22 years at Cutco that recruited tens of thousands of salespeople a year.
That'll be baller.
Yeah. Pretty cool.
So with recruiting, let's go touch on that. If you were to start recruiting today, where would you go and what would you do?
Pull out your cell phone and start texting your old college friends. And
100 list.
Yeah. The lowest hanging fruit in recruiting is just the people in your sphere. I think too often we overlook, like we have an amazing opportunity. I mean, I know pest control reps making multiple millions of dollars a year. And you're like, oh my gosh, that's not like, I'm talking, these are like managers. And, you know, a lot of people got sold on going to solar or going to whatever. And I'm like, bro, like even in every industry, if you're elite, there's a reason why there's guys in HVAC. There's a reason why there's guys in Windows. You know, I just got off the phone this morning with the window guy. He did 60 million in Windows his third year in Windows. And it's like, there's a lot of margin in that. Like, and so I think like the first place to start is yourself, actually, meaning if you don't recruit yourself to the job and saying, I'm proud of what I do, I feel like this opportunity is for everyone. I believe that we have a system and company that everybody could thrive at. You got some work to do. You know what I mean? I think a lot of people are afraid to invest in themselves, change that mindset, switch into learning the systems to where they're confident bringing people into it. Because you self-sabotage by not wanting to recruit simply because you're afraid if like you brought them in, it's embarrassing. So maybe a start would be like, let's polish up the company a little bit and yourself to where you're the leader that you need to be, to where you have the confidence that you can give somebody a real good roadmap and show them what success looks like.
Great answer. And at the time I didn't have any of that. And then when I got through with you guys, I had everything on board in the fast track, quick start. Like I had all that stuff in place. So it's like, yeah, now it's just like putting people through the funnel. Just let them come out the other side and watch them go be successful. Like now we have great managers who can teach, coach, train on the doors. Like they can go out there and show them a quick deal. Like they know what it's like to get a sale fast, like get that quick dopamine fix and get them caught up to speed super fast, even before they even get here with your training program.
100%.
So it's just like getting those guys, get the process, like you said, getting through it, and then just watching them be successful is super fun to watch. And that's what I love about where we're at today. Like watching these young kids come through, and maybe they didn't have much when they first started, and they're going to buy their first car cash. That's what the young sales guys like to do, or going to get their first fourplex with their money that they're making. Like, I absolutely love it. That's what gives me the satisfaction. Like, I want to save every one of those people from a 9-to-5 job that either hate their life or just stuck, or maybe they're just getting their first career. Like, I want to save those people. And it's the same thing on the customer side. Like, there's so many companies that are out there that are just come take your money and maybe not even do the work. And so I tell my reps, like, we are saving our customers from those pest control other companies that do the shady work, that don't show up, that don't have a guarantee, that don't come back. Like, I'm saving our customers from those people. So that's exactly how I sell it on both sides of it.
100%.
When it comes to keeping reps engaged throughout the summer, can you give us some good insight on that side of the world? Like, keep them engaged, keep them pushing forward, like those for the 4 or 5 months.
Yeah, I mean, I'll tell you a story about like a guy named Matt that worked for me. Before I recruited him, young college kid, I was like, "What's the most you ever made?" And he's like, "I don't know, 15 grand." I was like, "So if you made how much in the summer, what would be a huge win for you?" And he's like, "If I can make 20 grand, that'd be a big win." And he goes out for a month. He's one of my best rookies. I look at him one day and I'm like, "Bro," I sent him down. I was like, "You know how much you've already made?" He's like, "I have no idea. I've just been out selling." And he goes, and I was like, "Dude, you already made 20 grand. He was like, "No way." And, he had 3 more months. Well, the next 3 months he didn't sell. Like, you just cracked the bed. You know what I mean? And I was like, damn it. Like, I didn't realize, just like letting him know he already hit his goal. Like, we already helped him make 20 grand. And he was like mind blown. Actually hurt him. So I always say, like, a hungry rep is going to be a motivated rep. A satisfied rep is going to be an unmotivated rep. And so if hunger isn't necessarily their bank account, hunger must be something else, right? So it might be purpose, it might be spouse and family, it might be competition, it might be just to prove to their dad something, right? Like, an early one for me was my brother. I always kind of lived in the shadow of my brother, and it was like, I love him, amazing human. He didn't do anything. I wanted to like be seen as competent or as social or as good of a salesman. And I just was like, how do I prove that to the world or him or my dad that I have that? And so as a leader, like, how do you put systems in place that maybe hits on different modalities or different motivation factors, whether it's temporary little like hits, which could be like little AirPods or a little whatever, could be more competition that's a little bit more on the ego side, or it could just be helping them recognize like there is bigger mission to this that keeps people going longer. Hence why we launched the Golden Door. Interviewing all these Golden Door guys, I've a byproduct I didn't realize by selling 650,000 in contracted or in service revenue in pest, and every industry has their own. It kept guys out there. I mean, I had a guy just come in. He's like, "Hey, I stayed out there until the end of November." And I'm like, a normal average guy would have been like, "It's summer sales," right? And he would have quit. Come August, end of August, maybe September, but he stayed out September, October, November because he cared to see himself on that main stage, and he made a commitment to himself. He made a commitment to this team. He made a commitment to his spouse. And he's like, his name's Tyler, and he's like, and he'd earned it before. He was just like, I just feel like that's my standard. It sucks that it took me longer than it did last year. But I was like, I'm not going to let myself go home because I know what it feels like to be a Golden Door. And I don't want to like lose that title. And despite it being hard, despite it being longer summer, despite whatever, it forced him to fight for something greater than just his paycheck. Because had he done 500,000 in revenue, sure, he would have made hella money. Like, at that point, money doesn't really matter. You're fighting for a title. You're fighting for something bigger. And that's why we created the Golden Door and Door-to-Door Con. And a lot of the recognition things that we do is it forces people to bring out their greatness in them.
I like that. So just finding out what drives that salesperson, finding out the different motivators for them.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's smart. And bringing up the competitions, what you had done for us too, you paired us up with another company.
That was fun. I do remember that.
And they've been in the door-to-door industry for way like years and years and years, and paired us up with them. And we were having a weekly competition with them. And my guys were absolute fire that week. And I think it was like a week and a half long. And like by the first day, we already had the other company wanted to quit. Like they were just on fire. All my guys at that time, which was like 5 of them, they were all driven by that same thing, competition. They're all athletes. They came to collegiate soccer. One was in rugby. One was in car sales. He came from car sales, so like very competitive on that end. Was a football player. Like it really drove us as well. So it was something that you did for us that you probably don't even remember. Like that really like moved the needle for us.
No, we host 3 tournaments a year intentionally, and we're going on our 4th national knocking league next summer. We have a 2v2 one in the spring, grit. We have a summer one, 5v5, and then we have a fall one where we've really institutionalized a non-company driven competition that's industry wide. So companies can compete against each other. So whether Jonas has his top 5 guys and maybe there's a company with 500 reps that have their top 5 guys, it doesn't matter. It's like we have 5 versus 5. Like it doesn't matter your size, doesn't matter your area. We're playing on the same field. Like and we saw on average for those that made it to the playoffs a 300% increase in sales. So when people invest in us, we're like, okay, without costing you anything, I'm going to help you grow in those 6 weeks by 300%. Like
the ROI makes sense.
Yeah. You're like, okay, if I can just get my guys to drink this Kool-Aid, and that's the psychological game that we play, that there's a method behind our madness. It's not just like, oh, let's like, I don't know, like there's a lot of coaches out there. Mine, I'm like, no, I have a program, I have a system, I have actual tools that like really make a difference versus like, I'm a therapist, I call you once a week. That is not what I wanted to be. I wanted to create a movement that actually drove real results to where I have more of these phone calls. This is what gets me excited.
If you were to get back in, Sam, which I know you won't, but if you were, what industry would you pick?
Turf right now. I think turf is an interesting industry right now. Not turf badger, but turf. That one's intriguing. This chimney thing, like I would go after an industry that's unique. You know, I have a buddy of mine, he runs campaigns and he finds different sprints. Like right now, he's starting like a government rebate campaign. He's ran campaigns for Uber. He's ran campaigns for Uber. He's ran campaigns for Amazon. He's ran campaigns for Google. He's ran, you know what I mean? So like having weird campaigns that have kind of objective base, which is kind of fun, like Fiverr, they have like X amount of homes that qualify and they have to do it in X amount of time. And there's government, you know what I mean? Like there's some fun ones that would just be unique. I don't know. I just like being different. So I'd probably try to find some random like chimneys. It would just be like, oh yeah, that's right.
Well, I mean, it started with you spray painting numbers on the curb, right?
Yeah.
If I remember correctly?
Yep.
So why you said turf right away? Why did you go turf?
Just because I had a buddy that's like, he's a good rep, but like just started crushing with 2 guys in turf. And I feel like one, with the environmental ability, you have like, I don't know. You just like, for me, I don't love mowing the yard and sprinkler systems always breaking. And I just feel like there's a cool market in the warmer desert type areas where it's unique. You knock on somebody's door and you're like, I know you probably thought about this and you hate your yard anyway. Like, let's do turf.
Yeah. I see a couple of guys door knocking right now for turf, which is pretty cool, even out in that area. What the next 5 years look like for D2Dexperts and Sam Taggart?
Yeah, I mean, D2Dexperts, our goal is to grow to $100 million consulting company, like institutionalize really the training for all door to door and in the industries that fall into that umbrella. Sam, my goal is to be less the face. I think, you know, it's fun being the CEO. It's fun being the face, but at the same time, it doesn't, you know, Turf Badger isn't built around Jonas. Like it's Turf Badger. It's you know, so building out a team of experts, streamlining our coaches and consultants and their training processes. And so it's really just principles over personality. And then my goal, I have a couple of books coming out, and I have an app coming out called Expand. It's a human development system I'm really passionate about, and implementing that in D2D, but also outside of D2D, which is a tool. It's like 15 coaching tools all in one platform that makes it streamlined, simple, easy for any coach, consultant, manager, business owner to lead their people. And that's what we're excited about, is just really transformation. So things that align with that.
It was my next thing that I had written down was that you're an author of ABCs of Closing. That's your first book, correct?
Yeah.
But then you've been working on a second one for a while, or did it already get released?
No, we launched one in March, Self Experience. And then one comes out early next year called Expand, Leadership and Manager's Guide to. And then I got a deal with Penguin Random House, and then the book will come out January 2025 called Eat What You Kill. And that manuscript's all done. We've already written it, but it just takes a year to publish, I guess. I don't know.
Did you, I mean, I know you pretty well, but you never thought you'd be an author, right?
No.
Is that a goal of yours?
No, I mean, the first book, I literally was on a houseboat just chilling and just started writing. And, 30 hours later, I'm like, oh, wow, I'm like 75% done with a book, bro. Like, I failed out of English. Like, I legitimately, it was like I was a great student, but I hated reading, and I sucked at spelling, and I was bad at the comprehension side of things. So, like, anytime we do kind of English things, it was like not my forte, not in history. But I was really good at science, math, PE, you know what I mean? Like the other social type. But like, yeah, it'd be interesting to go back to my like English teachers back in high school and be like, hey, look, I've authored 4 books, and one of them's by the largest publishing company in the world. Like, the second one we did, it was an Amazon bestseller, and it's called The Self Experience. It's non-sales related. But it's just been fun. Like, for me, I'm a creator, hence why I artistically did this thing behind me and built this studio, built this building. Like, for me, I just like to be in the creative state. And so implementing and integrating and running the metronome and managing is not my genius, actually.
So you just hired the really good people around you, right?
Yep.
I know we're running out of time, so I'll end it with 2 questions. What top 2 favorite books that you'd recommend?
My number one is Awareness. It's like a phenomenal book, by Anthony DeMello. I really like The Compound Effect by Darren Hardy. I mean, there's so many good books. This year, I read a really good one called CEOs for more business owners. Another great one called Pound the Stone. I like that one this year. It's a good door-to-door book. So any like rep, read that book. It's so good.
That's really cool. Thank you. And I remember you were the one who first brought us to like doing the Book of the Month Club.
Yeah.
I remember with you guys, we were in our Marco Polo app, we're recording our fitness, we're doing the monthly book club, you're holding us all accountable. And so I just took that same philosophy and built it inside of our company, and we do the same thing. Yeah. It's just super smart what you did. And then I end the question. This question is the last one that I ask on every podcast. But at this point of your life, what are you most proud of, Sam?
Oh man, a lot. And I would say currently I just got married, and that's kind of fun.
Congratulations.
And I'm proud of like the alignment. I guess alignment would be a big one. Like I've had to make some really hard calls and really hard moves in business and relationships and even parenting, where it's like I have to put things into alignment. And it attracted my partner today, and she's just the most beautiful human soul on the planet.
And I think I reached out a few months ago, and I'm like, dude, you just look happy. So I'm happy for you.
I think my proudest thing, like, it's not like buying a car, running a business, making a certain amount of money. It's like, honestly, it's like practicing alignment, and that is a hard thing. And I think on the byproduct, on the other side of alignment, is fulfillment and joy and just peace. Like this morning, I was giddy all morning. I woke up at 5. I wrote my parents letters in Africa, and I, meditated, and then I worked out, and I read, and I cold plunged, and I saunaed, and I, what I mean? Like breath work, and like just to know, like, you're winning the day, you're intentionally checking in, whether it's financially or whatever. Like for me, I'm like, I'm not super money driven. I'm like more purpose driven. So
That's a great answer. I do have one more question for you. What's one good piece of advice that you leave for another CEO that you've been through? Maybe it's a hard point in your life that you just like someone gave you advice that, hey, when you come across this thing, do this. Or maybe it's just like a sales rep who is struggling in the summer or something along those lines.
I think it's like, if it's not this, it's something better, and having that mentality, like change the team kind of mentality of like not being afraid to make some hard calls. I think when we're in alignment and when we're moving towards something with purpose and mission, there's always going to be something behind that next door when you have to make some hard decisions, whether it's firing somebody, whether it's changing a system, whether it's sending it off a cliff and being like, all right, F this, like we're going. I think some people get in their own way and they're so afraid of change, but I'm like, right behind change is opportunity. And so it's like, you just adopt that mindset.
I agree. Because like I said, I've been there before. And same thing. Like I could have just waited out to see what COVID was going to do. Hopefully the PPP money is going to come, but I didn't know. So I was like, my back's going to swell. We have to make a shift. And now we're all in on this thing. I ended up selling that company. I don't even own it anymore. Like went all in a Turf Badger. Like, and I remember like coming out there, like you brought up prizes and like you gave us an award. It sits in my office still to this day. And it's just something simple that you did that is very, very memorable. So I just want to say thank you for all of you done for me personally too.
No, thanks, man. Like I said, I'd love to hang again or have you come back to an event or jump back into the mastermind. It'd be fun to reconnect and figure out how to help you on your next journey. So
for sure. Cool, man. Well, thanks for being here with us today. Again, I appreciate your friendship. I appreciate you. D, if you can hear this, thank you for setting this up. I appreciate you as well. And I look forward to meeting you.
okay, we'll see you, man.
All right. See you, buddy.